Today, just wanted to share a few thoughts on Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh (RSS). Recently, Rahul Gandhi, Member of Parliament representing the constituency of Wayanad, Kerala, created, a controversy in London, where he said, I quote him, the RSS is a secret society. It is a fundamentalist and fascist organization. It is built along the lines of the Muslim Brotherhood, unquote. Well, as someone who is doing a research on RSS, I thought of sharing my views about the relevance or the controversial claims, whatever you call it, of Rahul Gandhi. I think this is not for the first time controversial phrases like fascist organization, secret organization, communal organization or sectarian organization, not for the first time it is used. If you do a research on the phrases, at least to my mind, I think colonial government continue to be critical towards RSS. For example, if you read the writings of one of the leaders of RSS, M.S. Goldwasser, he once argued that British found the revival of Hindus, or revival of Hinduism, or revival of Hindutva, a threat to their domination. I repeat this argument. M.S. Goldwasser argued that the British found the revival of Hindutva a threat to their domination. Therefore, the British started using phrases like sectarian, communal, fascist to refer to RSS. This is number one. Secondly, ever since the assassination of Gandhiji, a section of intellectuals, continue to have an attitude of suspicion towards RSS, even though the history tells us that RSS as an organization has nothing to do with the murder of Mahatma Gandhi. Now, personally, this raises a series of questions about what exactly fascism was understood, or the characteristic features of fascism. Because most of the time we see RSS as a fascist organization. What do we mean by the term fascism? Whether the ideas that are centered around fascism are really, really relevant in the context of RSS. Generally, there is a consensus among historians who say that fascism is all about opposition to democracy. Fascism could also be about glorifying the nation. Fascism is all about adoring the purity of race. Racism also could be something to do with justifying the idea of war, or it could be aggressive nationalism, or glorifying the past, or indoctrination of ideologies through arts, literature, and education. So now, as someone who is interested in relating these ideologies with particular reference to RSS, I request all of you to go through these phrases, the characteristic features of fascism, to what extent you think these ideas could be related to RSS. So based on my research, which is still going on, I find that there are two schools of thought on RSS. In fact, those who are critical about the action programs of RSS argue that RSS is a fascist organization, sectarian Hindu communal organization, and so on and so forth. And they also, of course, argue that the contribution of the RSS to the Indian freedom struggle was almost nil. They maintain that the RSS is rooted in the Brahminical scriptural prescriptions and practices, and they assert that RSS derives its ideological strength primarily from upper caste Hindus. Another criticism against RSS is that the ideology propounded by the RSS lies in its linkages with the religious beliefs of the people and in its aggressive propaganda through the invocation of religious symbols to arouse, what they call popular consciousness. Commenting on the attitude of the RSS towards culture, the critiques of the RSS continue to believe and even argue that for the RSS, a significant component of life is not politics but culture. So the critics go to the extent to suggest that establishing the primacy of culture is to bring religion to the forefront for the center state. And of course, they also argue forcefully that the RSS attempts to create an exclusive identity. And they raise, of course, series of questions on RSS and its involvement in the freedom struggle. They also think that the people of India have every right to know the details of the movements launched by the RSS to free the country from British imperialism. In fact, they even challenge the RSS to reveal the names of the RSS leaders who underwent repression under British rule or went to jail to become martyrs during India's struggle for independence. This is one school of thought. On the contrary, you also have another school of thought. Those historians, maybe writers, maybe direct supporters of RSS, some of them are part of RSS organization, who have been writing the history of RSS from the perspective of cultural renaissance. And they demonstrate that RSS is a national voluntary organization that represents the interest of all social groups, number one. And the second argument of the defenders of RSS is, according to them, RSS is neither a reactionary organization towards any particular religion nor an exclusive organization. What does it mean? On the contrary, it is an organization, according to them, which is instrumental in creating a cultural renaissance in India. And as the leaders of the RSS argue, its primary objective, when I say the leaders of RSS, I mean Dr. Hedgever, MS Goldwasser. So my case study is centered around these two important leaders. So according to these two important leaders, the primary objective of RSS is to create a cultural consciousness among the people of India, based on the defender's argument. You also need to know one basic ideology what the defenders continue to use to defend their argument, to substantiate their argument. The defenders of RSS continue to argue that RSS derives its ideological strength from historically significant individuals like Shivaji or Bankim Chandra Chatterjee or Swami Vivekanand, Mahatma Gandhi, B.G. Tilak, Aurobindo Ghosh, Pandit Madan Mohan Malviya, to name a few. So based on the two schools of thought on RSS, I would like to share my thoughts. So my perspective about RSS, I am not talking about RSS from the beginning till the contemporary period. My case study is about the two leaders, Dr. Hedgever and Dr. MS Goldwasser. The first important leader, Dr. Hedgever. If you do a small research, reading the writings of Hedgever, at least you will understand some basic aspects of the ideology of Dr. Hedgever. Dr. Hedgever, of course, I think used to be an admirer of Shivaji and an avid reader of B.G. Tilak's nationalist weekly Kesari. In fact, he begins his political career by joining the Congress in 1919. Right? To begin with, he was a congressman, Dr. Hedgever. As a state level leader, he was part of the organizing committee of the Congress National Plenary Session in 1920 in Nagpur, where Gandhiji emerged as a national leader. Dr. Hedgever also established close contacts with Bengal revolutionaries. The RSS cadres, of course, and leaders in the 1920s participated in almost all the programs of the Indian National Congress, at least till 1930s. Most importantly, Dr. Hedgever applauded the Purna Swaraj, which is complete independence call of the Congress in December 1929. See how there is a close connection between Indian National Congress and RSS in the 1925, 26, 27, 28, 29. So my question is it really justifiable to use the term fascist to refer to RSS that stood with Gandhiji, applauded the constructive programs of the Indian National Congress, and in fact unconditionally supported the idea of Purna Swaraj, which is complete independence? I want all of you to think. An organization which supported Gandhiji, an organization which supported some of the constructive programs of the Indian National Congress, an organization which unconditionally supported the idea of Purna Swaraj, now being branded as an exclusive organization. You can think about it. My second concern is the RSS leaders maybe continue to believe that the advancement of the nation would not be possible without an innate patriotism, nationalism, and what they call Indianness in Indian society. And some of the leaders of RSS continue to assert that RSS is neither a secret organization, nor a military organization, nor a private body, but a cultural organization. Now, just giving you an example, in his address to the annual function of the Delhi branch of RSS held in Delhi on 7th December 1947, M.S. Goldwasser, popularly known as Guruji, emphasized the idea and emphatically denied that RSS was neither a military nor a semi-military body. Right? He argued that the British found the revival of Hindutva a threat to their domination. Goldwasser further explained that RSS not only stood for the Sangathan, which is unity of the Hindu Samaj, a society, but also wanted to make it a strong, united body. Emphasizing the sacred mission of the RSS, Goldwasser asserted, I quote him, Swayamsevaks would prefer to burn themselves to ashes in the cause of their motherland, her defense, honor, and culture. To save Hindutva is the sacred mission of the sun. With that firm determination, we are facing our problems, and no one, not even the creator of the universe, can stand in our way of achieving true Bharatiyatva or Indianness, unquote. Now the question which I would like to pose before all of you, can we call an organization a fascist simply because it strived for unity under the broader umbrella of Hinduism? Again, this is up to you to think. So this raises another important question. What is Hinduism or Hindu Rashtra according to RSS? So this is where my research comes in. So my research is all about the non-theocratic Hindu Rashtra and the RSS. So here, RSS continues to assert that ancient India, the ancient India, which was undoubtedly an inclusive Hindu Rashtra, had never been theocratic. I repeat, RSS continues to assert the idea that the ancient India, which was undoubtedly an inclusive Hindu Rashtra, had never been theocratic in theory and practice. In fact, I have to use Jawaharlal Nehru also here. Jawaharlal Nehru understood that the idea of Hindu Rashtra would be a theocratic state that would be based on theocratic model that Pakistan adopted. This particular understanding of Jawaharlal Nehru made him to declare that as long as he was at the helm of affairs, he would never allow India to become a Hindu Rashtra. So now the ideological conflicts between RSS and Jawaharlal Nehru comes in. So RSS strongly challenges Jawaharlal Nehru's idea of Hindu Rashtra, saying that this is not a theocratic state, the manner in which Jawaharlal Nehru has understood. Challenging Nehru's interpretations and claims, the RSS consistently argues that the very use of the term Hindu does not signify any group of persons following a particular religion. I repeat this point to make it a little more clear. RSS challenges Jawaharlal Nehru's interpretation. Challenging Nehru's interpretation and claims, RSS consistently argues that the very use of the term Hindu does not signify any group of persons following any particular religion. On the contrary, even a person who is not a believer of God could be a Hindu. While RSS, and in fact the RSS critiques, the critics of RSS, in fact, like Jawaharlal Nehru, argue that Hinduism as a faith is vague, amorphous, many-sided. The RSS demystifies the idea, saying that Hindus are those whose loyalty and allegiance to Bharat is undivided and unquestionable. Going by this postulation, RSS continues to believe that Bharat is the motherland, fatherland, holy land for all those who believe in its cultural cohesions. This is very, very, I think, interesting and important. So the RSS idea of inclusive Hindu Rashtra. Why I'm using inclusive Hindu Rashtra? This is not a theocratic. It's not meant purely or only for Hindus. It's meant for all sections of the people. And therefore, the RSS idea of inclusive Hindu Rashtra, according to the RSS, would tolerate, would respect the religious philosophies of all sections of the society and their worshipping of God in a particular fashion. This is not the end of the story. RSS made repeated appeals that Christians and Muslims should Indianize themselves and leave their foreign attributes in order to strengthen the idea of inclusive Hindu Rashtra. Let me give you an example. Goldwasser himself reiterates the point, the idea that RSS stood for inclusive Hindu Rashtra. Inclusive Hindu Rashtra, according to RSS, would be a secular state. I repeat this point, which is often missing in the mainstream academic discourse. Inclusive Hindu Rashtra, according to RSS, would be a secular state, precisely because all those who don't prefer to be identified themselves as Hindus in the modern use of the term also have rights to live. Not just right to live, equal right to live. So this is what the idea of inclusive Hindu Rashtra, a non-theocratic Hindu Rashtra, being advocated by RSS. Now, another important aspect, it is in this context, maybe you can think about it, is it really justifiable to use the term fascist to refer to RSS that believes in inclusive or non-theocratic Hindu Rashtra? Again, you can interpret it. This is what I try to understand. This is my perspective. And another important aspect, emphasizing the view that his ideal was to feel one with the Hindu society. I'm talking about Goldwasser. Goldwasser stated that RSS never sought the press nor platform. It never indulges in the so-called politics of the day. As a cultural organization, Goldwasser argues, RSS had never spread the message of hate. He says RSS had been spreading the message of love and brotherhood among the people. Those of you think that RSS has nothing to do with love and brotherhood, this is what he had to say. This is not my statement. Let me underline this. As a cultural organization, RSS, and of course the leader of RSS, Goldwasser, continue to make the statement, and one such statement is RSS had been spreading the message of love and brotherhood among the people in order to bring them closer together. And he also says, yet some vested interested parties had launched a crusade against the organization. Goldwasser stated that the RSS was not much concerned over the criticisms. It is, according to Goldwasser, like an open book, in no way hidden from the public, and those who keep their eyes open and minds unbiased would easily understand what the RSS stands for. I repeat Goldwasser's statement. RSS, according to Goldwasser, it is an open book, in no way hidden from the public, and those who keep their eyes open and minds unbiased would easily understand what the RSS stands for, unquote. And similarly, Goldwasser also believed that baseless charges would not harm the organization, right? So the term exclusive organization, secret organization, according to him, would not harm the organization. On the contrary, these criticisms, these charges would only assist in increasing the popularity of the organization. This is not the end of the statement of Goldwasser. He goes on to say that those who believed that RSS was a military organization had no idea what really constituted a military organization. Now let me ask you a question. Can we really use the term fascist to refer to RSS that spread, according to Goldwasser, the message of love and brotherhood? Of course you have criticism. You have every right to criticize. Now you also need to take the statements of a person who is being criticized, in a different way. And another important aspect, I think this will be incomplete, my discussion will be incomplete without referring to another important individual who is none other than Mahatma Gandhi himself. Most notably, as a cultural organization, the RSS had been well aligned with most of the social and cultural programs initiated by Gandhiji. When critics of the RSS like Jawaharlal Nehru were keen on crushing the RSS, I use the phrase here, the truth-seeking political philosopher, Gandhiji, applauded the discipline